Hi Carla, it's Jen. I'm just going to do a quick little video to show you how I organize things in Aperture and how I convert them from the PNGs to JPEGs so that I can view them when I'm trying to figure out what I want to work with. Aperture is kind of similar. It's similar to iPhoto. It's like a cross between iPhoto and Lightroom. And the reason that I decided to go with Aperture over iPhoto, because I was pretty happy with iPhoto, is because any keywording that I do will actually be written to the metadata. So if somewhere down the line I decided to change programs, all the work that I do won't be lost because I have lost a lot of tagging that I've done. And so it's my understanding that it will stay with it, so hopefully it will. But anyway, so here's how it works. I click on your kit, and unfortunately, Aperture does not read PNGs very well. So it's not just the brush files, but it's it's the PNGs. They all get a little wonky in this more so than they do in iPhoto. So basically what I do is I just kind of start flipping through the images, and I can tell that this is a tag, so I'll leave it alone. But some images get really kind of crazy. These are bows. I can tell what they are. I'm going to leave them alone. But there will be some where I'm not going to be able to tell what they are. So like this, I have no idea what this looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drag it over to a file on my desktop that I created called JPEGs, because I'm going to turn these files into JPEGs. So I just keep flipping through until I find ones that are kind of a little odd, and I'll put them in the JPEG file so I have a better idea of what these files look like. I know there's something like this. I have no idea really what that looks like. And this, I don't know what it is, maybe a stitch or something. So I could tell that says noted, so I don't need to drag it over. This is a stitch, but I don't really have a good idea what it is, so I'll drag that over. And that's what I do. I just kind of scroll through. Or you could always just select everything and turn them all into JPEGs so that you get a better picture, but you're just going to wind up eating up some hard drive space, so I don't really like to drag them all over. Okay, so having done that, I'm just going to shrink down Aperture. And you can see all of the files are in here. They're all PNG files. I'm going to open up a program called Automator, which Mac has. You should have it on your computer. It's under your applications, and alphabetized as Automator. Double click on it, and I'm going to be creating a workflow. So you highlight workflow and select choose. And then what you have to do, the first thing you have to do, otherwise it doesn't work well for some reason, is drag your files over that you're going to be working on. So I'm going to open up my JPEG folder. I'm going to Command A and select them all, and I'm going to drag them over to the space. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to get out of this, and then I'm going to type in change, and you'll see here I want to select change type of images. So I'm going to double click on change type of images. I'm going to get this pop-up that says, do you want to add them? And I do. I don't just want to change them because I need the PNGs to stay as PNGs. Actually, technically I don't in this particular file. So actually, I'm going to say don't add. I just realized I could save myself an extra step here. I'm not going to add them. I'm actually going to change the ones that are in this file. I don't want to change the ones that are in Aperture, because if I change them, then they would not have a transparent background anymore. But the ones that are in this JPEG file, I can actually just change them to JPEG, so that'll be fine. It says change type of images to type. It says TIFF. I'm going to do JPEG. And then I'm going to go up here to the top and just click run. And then it's going to change everything. And when I go back and I look at my folder, you'll see that they're all JPEGs. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to exit out of this. You could actually save your workflow. I could show you how to do that if this is something that you're interested in. I'm not going to go into that right now, so I'm just going to say don't save. And now what I want to do is I actually am going to import these into Aperture. So I know you're not using Aperture, but I'm sure it would work the same way with iPhoto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import from this JPEG folder. They're all selected, and I'm just going to say import checked. 6 items were imported, and let's see, I'm going to go back to my projects, and here it says JPEG. So these are all the ones that I just imported, and just like you would do with iPhoto, I'm actually just going to drag this right on top of my take note file, and now they're all going to be in there. They're not going to be right next to it. What's going to happen is they're going to be down on the bottom. But what I can do is take a look at the name, and here it says KD Take Note border. So if I double click on it, I can see what it looks like, and now I could go back up and find the one, this KD Take Note border, and when I want to work on it in Photoshop, I would just drag it down into Photoshop, and then it would open up in Photoshop Elements, which I guess isn't open. I don't know why that's not opening, but anyway, oh, here we go. It's just a little slow. And then it opens up with the transparent background. If I opened up the wrong one, it's going to have the white background, which obviously I wouldn't want. So anyway, that's how I view your files in Aperture, and you could wind up doing the same thing in iPhoto. And if it's something that you're interested in, I could give you more details about it, but that's how I've worked around that problem. And once I'll actually show you again. Once you, let me get out of this, create that workflow, now what I can actually do is I save that workflow. So I'm gonna, just to show you, I actually saved it here on my desktop. It says changes to JPEGs. And if I click on that, it automatically opens up and it's all ready to go and everything's saved. And then all I have to do is drag my files over and run the action. So anyway, that's something to think about. So anyway, there you go. Hope it helps. And if you have any questions, just